This is the most prepared I've ever been for a video. I have notes. Hey guys, my name's Elena. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi. If you're old here, what's up? So today we're going to be talking about the TMC and the Respiratory Clinical Sim exam. If you don't know, respiratory therapists have two different exams. They have one, which is the therapist multiple choice exam, which you can pass and become a CRT, which is a certified respiratory therapist. And they also have the clinical simulation exam for respiratory therapists to become registered respiratory therapists. So we're gonna first start off with the TMC, which is the therapist multiple choice exam. Basically, it tests literally all your knowledge of respiratory. It literally goes from mechanical ventilation, airway clearance, all kinds of things that you learn in school. So basically, you have to know everything. The reason why I'm doing this video is I got some questions about how I passed my exams. So I'm gonna kind of give you the lowdown of how things went, because it was not an easy thing to do. So on a couple of my respiratory videos, I got some questions about the TMC, how I studied, the SIMs and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to answer the best I can. We're starting with the TMC and we're gonna work our way to the SIMs, because you have to pass the TMC with a high cut score in order to go take your SIMs. So you can't just like skip and go take your SIMs. No, that's not how it works. Basically, you have to make a high cut score on the TMC, which I believe right now is a 92 in order for you to take the SIMs. So you have to make at least minimum a 92 in order to take the next one. Don't you love how you just can't pass it? You gotta pass it with a high cut score. It's not stressful at all, right? Let me tell you guys, it's doable. I did it. You can do it, I promise. So let's get into how I passed, how I studied, etc. So the first question that I saw that I thought I would answer first is, how long did I study for the TMC? Basically, my last semester was a review of everything that I've learned, since the TMC is literally everything you learn throughout your whole respiratory schooling experience. I guess you could say I started at the beginning of my last semester, but what I used was the Kettering seminar books, because I heard great things about them and they have helped a lot of people that I know pass. So I started using Kettering, I would say in February. So if you don't know, no, Kettering is not sponsoring me. I paid all this money for these things, and yes, it is kind of pricey. I will let you know. Not only did I get one book, I got the workbook and the sim book. And also, Kettering came with lectures for each chapter of this book. Also, it had practice questions with the package I bought. I also got 2 practice exams. So basically, yes, I started studying in February. So I also got asked how I studied. We'll go back to this. I studied with Kettering, as I said, and I did not go to their seminar that they do because it's only a couple of days, and I just felt like I needed to go at my own pace. So in order to go at my own pace, I bought the study materials for home, because then I could work on it whenever. So basically, this is how the book is set up. So they have lectures that go with each of these sections in the book. So what I would do is listen to the lectures and highlight in the book important things and make little notes. I don't know if you see my notes. I made little notes about things I thought that would be important to study more about, because sometimes you know really good a certain section, but then other times you have sections that you don't know as well, so you need to go back and review them. It was very helpful and very useful to have the lectures in this. After I was done all the lectures, I decided I should use my tokens on the website to practice some practice questions. I answered a comment, I don't remember who it was, but I answered a comment, and it was basically like, how should I best prepare for the TMC? And I said, take practice tests, as many practice tests as you can That's what you need to do. You need to take practice tests, because I was making flashcards at one point. I was trying to write notes. Honestly, that wouldn't have helped me, and I'm glad I stopped, because I didn't realize how important at the time it was to take practice exams, because they're very useful and they show you what they're going to have on the TMC. So there's a lot of questions on this exam, well over 100, and 20 of them are practice questions that they're seeing if they should use in next year's exam. But with the practice tests that I've taken, it helps me when I got to the real test, because there's only so many questions or types of questions that they can throw at you. But you're gonna get better at knowing all these things when you take practice tests. That's why I'm saying take practice tests. You can buy Kettering and it comes with 2 practice tests. And then you can go to the MBRC website and you can purchase 2 exams that are from previous years. So you can practice on those too. And that really helps also, because then you can see how the MBRC sets up their exam, which is very different from Kettering's exams. Personally, I took the Kettering ones first and thought the MBRC one was actually easier when I took it after I took the Kettering one that I had on the computer. The package that I bought came with the workbook that goes along also with this book. It's basically like, it's 1 and 2. So you do this and then you do this. But I will say, unless you're like really dead set on trying to write things down because it helps you learn, I wouldn't focus too much on this part. Personally, I did most of this, but I don't feel like this helped me. I'm telling you, practice tests are the way to go. So I highly recommend the lectures in this book, but I don't recommend this one as much because I don't feel like it solidified anything more into my brain. Also, if you get the Kettering seminar at home, you can go back and listen to lectures. So if you didn't understand one and you want to go back, you can. But also they do have the in-person seminar, but it wasn't for me. I needed to do it at my own pace. I also didn't have to like rush and learn it all in a couple days. I got to take my time over a couple months and figure it out, so that was good. I also got asked how I relaxed and advice for the TMC. So my biggest advice, clearly, if I haven't said it enough in this video, is to take practice tests. Other than that, I would say you should go at your own pace. Make sure that you understand a lot of mechanical ventilation, and let me look so I can give you great advice. Very important things I would remember just from taking mine, I think, would be, first, know your x-rays, because I think I had a couple of them. 2, know mechanical ventilation and know how to find a person's tidal volume from their ideal body weight, because you don't want to get mixed up and get the wrong tidal volume. Also, I would just know general pathologies, because if you don't know like what happens when someone has a pneumothorax or what happens when someone has a pleural effusion, then you might not do as well. Know about pneumos. Every practice test that I took and my actual exam, they had something about a pneumo. So make sure you know about your pneumos. If you just know this book, you'll be good. And you take practice exams, you'll be okay, I promise. And also, Kettering, if you're watching this, why are my pages falling out? So Kettering, we pay a lot of money for these books. It'd be nice if they didn't fall apart. But nonetheless, I thank you for helping me pass. So you have the option to either take your test at home online, or you can take it at a testing center. So I tried to take it at home at first. My Wi-Fi was too bad, so I had to go to the testing center. So I personally have like testing anxiety from testing centers, and I was really nervous that I wasn't going to do as well in a testing center. But I think what helped me is in the morning, I only reviewed for maybe 30 minutes. Because think about it, you've been studying for how long? You know your stuff. You do. You've done the lectures, you've highlighted in the book, you've taken practice tests out the wazoo, and you've done practice questions. Like, you know your stuff. Like, you're doing great. That's why I only reviewed for 30 minutes, because I didn't want to psych myself out. I feel like it's just not helpful for you to study in the morning and then psych yourself out and then, wouldn't do it. Also, I lit my stress-free candle in the morning, had my Celsius / breakfast, and just chilled. Like, I was reading a book in the morning before, because I was like, just have to be calm. Like, just try not to stress yourself out. Even though it's the most stressful thing of your life, it's fine, That's all I have for the TMC. So if you have more questions about how the TMC is, you can leave them in the comments and I'll answer them. So now we've studied for our TMC. We have passed. We are certified respiratory therapists out here, able to work. We also passed with a 92. So we are allowed to move on to the clinical simulation exam. And we can become registered respiratory therapists now, okay? That's where we are. We're trying to study for the clinical simulation, and we are going to pass because we know everything already. We have passed our TMC with a 92 or above. We are doing great things. We are loving life right now because we passed our first exam. We did that because, of course, respiratory has more than one exam, and a lot of other healthcare professionals do not have to take more than one exam. We're just one of the lucky ones that gets to take 2. So the time that I took between passing my TMC and my simulation was about 2.5 weeks. Now you might be thinking, Elena, that doesn't sound like you really studied for a long time. No, I didn't. And let me explain. So the clinical sim, you do not have to study a lot for, because you've already passed your TMC. You've learned all the information. You know the pathologies, how to find the different settings for each patient. You know how to do therapeutic procedures. You know it all. So why are we going to stress about hardcore studying again? We're not, because we know our information. We just passed our TMC. You get what I'm saying? It's the same information. My first tip is going to be to take practice exams. Now, I will say, I had Kettering for the sim, and I did not really use it that much because I just felt like, I felt like it really wasn't as helpful as I thought it would be. But what I did do was I went on the MBRC website and took more practice tests. There are also practice simulations on Kettering, which did help, but it's so different from the MBRC one, because when you're taking the Kettering simulation, there's so much information gathering that you're able to make and pick up on. So if you don't know how the clinical simulation exam works, you are graded on your information gathering and your decision making. So the clinical simulation exam is comprised of 22 simulations, and 2 of them do not count, but you do not know which 2 do not count. So you have to go through the whole exam not knowing which one could have been the 2 that were thrown out. You know what I mean? You have to do your best on every single one because you need all the points you can get, let me tell you. But basically, you're graded on your information gathering. So, patient comes in, what do you want to get? You have to decide if you want, ABGs, blood pressure, history, height, random procedures. You have to decide. So that's where your information gathering comes from. Then once you go through your information gathering, you get to move on to the next part of that sim, and you get to make decisions. If you think the patient has a pneumo, you should probably do a needle decompression or a chest tube. It just depends, what your scenario is. So this clinical sim is a very hard exam. A lot of people do not pass on the first try. So if you don't pass on the first try, do not freak out on either exam. It's just inconvenient. You've worked so hard, you want to pass on the first try. So we're going to try to do that. But what are we going to do in order to do that? We're going to study, make sure we know every pathology and stuff. And most importantly, we're going to take practice tests, because I think the only way to really study for the sim is the practice test, because you have to know how the exam works. That exam is mind-boggling, to say the least. So basically, what I did while I was taking my sim is I would do like a couple simulations, maybe like three to five simulations, and then I would get up and walk around, go to the bathroom. Like, you just like need a break because your brain is like, you know, like your brain is just like, oh, can you please stop? I'll be real with y'all. When I was taking my clinical sim exam, I really, not kidding, thought I did not pass. Because if you've taken practice ones before, you know that if you don't make the right decision, you will see physician disagrees. So I got that on a couple of them. I was like, oh great, I'm gonna have to take this exam again. Lo and behold, somehow, by the grace of God, I did pass. So just know that during mine, I really thought I did not pass. So it might work out for you. If you think you're not passing, you might be passing. But honestly, that exam, like, people were asking me how to study and prepare, and all I can say is take practice exams. I feel like you know everything from the TMC, so like there's really not much else you can do besides practice, because it's a weird type of exam that you're not used to. So it really like tests your patience also, by the way. But that's all the advice that I have and all the knowledge that I have about how the TMC and clinical sims work. So if you want to know like about how respiratory school worked, or like how clinicals worked and stuff like that, I can do more respiratory content for you guys. So I wish you all good luck. I hope that you do great, and I hope that some of my study tips and things like that helped you. But I hope that you all pass your TMC with high cuts so we can go to the clinical sim and pass that and become registered respiratory therapists. Also, good for you if you're certified, because that was hard to get that. So, I mean, everyone should be proud of themselves. Let me know if there's anything else y'all want to know respiratory-wise, or whatever else y'all want to see, because I'm a respiratory channel, a book channel, a vlogging channel, or I'm a cooking channel sometimes. So whatever you really want to see, just let me know. I tend to just do whatever, because why not? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!